Welcome to today's episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. My name is Adam Brsan.
And I'm Chris Smith.
If you've yet to do so, hit that subscribe button so you never miss another episode. And if you love this podcast, don't forget to share it with a friend or colleague. We greatly appreciate your help and support. Today we are going to be talking about, I titled it, the difference between ordinary and extraordinary. I know you mentioned a few little things that you wanted to talk about as well that kind of tie into that, which is just some of the little stuff. Maybe some of the little things that we do that maybe make a bit of a difference. Whether that comes to different tools that we use when it comes to selling, when it comes to just different things. So. Yeah, I always think about this one movie. I don't know if you've ever seen it, Chris. Maybe not. The movie Waiting with Ryan Reynolds. Have you ever seen that? It's like they all work at like a restaurant. It's kind of like a raunchy comedy.
Well, the last movie you told me to watch was Dogs Talking as People, and it was like the X-rated version of Homeward Bound. So now I'm afraid I'm afraid of your movie recommendations.
So this movie Waiting. They all work at a restaurant, and I worked at, when I was like 16 years old, I bussed tables at Applebee's. I don't know if you have Applebee's out by you, but
I have it on my resume.
Oh yeah, you worked at Applebee's too?
Tragically, yes.
I didn't know that. Yeah. I was a bus boy, like a host at Applebee's when I was 16 years old. It was actually pretty good money, better than my friends that just were getting minimum wage other places, because like the waiters had to share tips with us and stuff like that. But anyways, like I just remember I could relate to that movie Waiting just from working at the restaurant, and like the manager, just how they take everything like so seriously, which is fine. But I just remember the one guy, I forget the actor's name, but I just remember in the movie, like he takes the whole group aside. They're like preparing to like start the work day and, talking about the shift and everything. And he's like, just remember the difference between ordinary and extraordinary is that little extra. So that's what I was thinking about when I titled our training for this morning, just doing that little extra, the difference between, what we do that's kind of separates us from other agents that maybe are just doing enough to get by. Mm-hmm. The little extra, that could even be the appointment setting service that we use. I mean, that's a little extra. Yeah, we're investing a little bit more into our business by having that luxury, but it's structuring our day. It's putting us in front of more people. It's allowing us the ability to make more sales. Like I said in the past, all I'd ever did was cold door knock, or not really cold door knock, but door knock leads. But just having that structure, and even weeks, like I've said, there have been weeks where I haven't written a lot off the appointment setters. There have been weeks that, like this week, I think I wrote maybe one off of the appointment setting. But it's putting me in front of people faster. Leads that I'd probably still be trying to disposition with a yes or a no. They're out of the way now. People that maybe I couldn't do anything with, that they'd still be sitting in front of me. So but right there, that's one, I think, sort of doing a little bit of extra when it comes to just the little things in our business. What are some other things that you could think of, Chris?
I think to separate yourself from ordinary to extraordinary really doesn't require any special talent. It doesn't require any special skill. Like I say all the time, a spiritual gift, a good voice, a great body. It doesn't require any of that kind of stuff. Like to take yourself from ordinary to extraordinary requires things like intentionality. Like today is a day I'm going to sell and do nothing else for whoever's in the field today. That's going to take you from ordinary to extraordinary, because that's all that you're going to focus on. And you're going to focus on your phone, your text, your emails, the snail mail, your appointments, your door knocks, your book of business, your lapses. You're just in hot pursuit of premium the entire time. Like that's what separates an ordinary sales day from an extraordinary one. Heck, even Friday itself. I remember an agent probably 2 years ago at this point, that lasted maybe a few months. She said she went out on a Friday and actually made money and saw people and sold insurance and said to me, I didn't think you could make any money on a Friday. What separates ordinary personal producers from extraordinary personal producers that need every application to pay a bill, to get ahead, to grow their business and survive the first 2 years is the willingness to go out on a Friday, to knock doors on a Saturday, to start the week on a Monday. You earn the right as you build your business to do less, to do more in less time. But a lot of the messaging and training has to be focused on that crowd of people that really need to work so hard those first 2 years to make it to where we are. So ordinary to extraordinary, so many different things you could talk about. Not skipping on leads. Yeah, that's a tough one. If you're on a free lead program, you have a production number you have to hit. Otherwise, we can't pay for the leads. If you're your own personal producer, you have a production number you have to hit. And if you don't hit it, you're one problem away from falling behind in the business. So knowing you have to hit those numbers and making those numbers personal separates you from ordinary to extraordinary. Here's one for you, and then I'll give the mic back to you. Doing the right thing in the home, even if you know doing the right thing isn't going to make you any money. Like you encounter a situation where the client has a policy and they've had it for, 5 years, and their health kind of sucks. And you might be able to push one through on a carrier might have super loose underwriting, and you might be able to save them $1 and get them $500 of cash value back and make yourself some money. It's not the right thing to do. Like it just doesn't feel right. It doesn't look right. It doesn't improve their situation. It puts them back into contestability. And instead of doing that, you choose not to. That's an extraordinary action you've chosen to make because you put the best interest of the person ahead of the premium. And I think people get so wrapped up in the AP and the premium and the deposit sometimes. We also have a moral and ethical responsibility being a highly paid and skilled professional not to F people over. Because a lot of the people that we see and a lot of people that we sell, they'll do whatever you tell them. Whatever you tell them to do, they're going to do. And it has to be up to you to do the right thing.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like every week I run into at least one person I talk to that has plenty of coverage that I just I tell them, like, don't let anybody come in here and talk you out of, doing anything with that policy. There was one this week. I sat down with this guy at night. I didn't write a policy on the guy, but the guy, he had some pretty significant health issues. I think he had congestive heart failure. He had a few other things. He was obese. Um, and I had a guaranteed issue product that I could have wrote the guy that actually the rates were pretty decent. And it was even cheaper than what he was currently paying. But the policy that he had for over 2 years. So like, why would I take a guy that's in that sort of hell out of a policy where right now he's fully covered, just to benefit myself? And that's really what I think sometimes happens is agents, they're not looking out for their client, they're looking out for themselves, and they're looking to make that one sale. But because I'm like that with people, usually it brings more business my way. If you do the right thing, that's what's going to happen. More good things are going to come back around to you. There's a good chance I'll end up doing Medicare business with this guy. Talk to him a little bit about that. There's a good chance I'll end up writing business on some of his other family members. But like I said, I mean, I'm not going to pull somebody out of a policy, even if the person's in good health. I mean, they could tell you anything. Clients could tell you anything, honestly. If they're past the 2 year period, I'm usually not messing with it. I'm going to keep that business. And if anything, tell them, it's good to add to what you have, but I mean, you're guaranteed that policy is going to pay out for you. So I don't want to take someone from a guaranteed policy that I know is going to pay out to starting that 2 year window all over again, unless I'm extremely confident. But majority of the time, we just don't know.
If you're on the StreamYard right now, when you feel like there might be something that separates somebody in this business from ordinary to extraordinary, feel free to drop it in the comment section. If you're watching on some other medium of social media, we really do appreciate your comments. Your comments create engagement. It puts the algorithm in our favor. So maybe you're watching now, today, tomorrow, or in 10 years. Comment about what you think in this business separates ordinary from extraordinary. Dom put in the comment section, spending money on tools to make your business more efficient, i.e. insurance toolkits, CRM and such. which is absolutely the truth. You're running a business. And that's a huge realization moment that agents make typically right after they get out of that survival mode into the thrive moment of their career. They realize they're running a business. And to run a business means you have to invest in your business. And Adam, I don't know if you have it where you live, but I notice all the time in a lot of the restaurants and small business, non corporate type places, non Applebee's locations, that they spend a lot of money reinvesting in their restaurants, especially during the off season. We have a good peak water and summer season here, but you come back the next time and that business owner had spent money redoing their decks, redoing the restaurant, redoing something, reinvesting in their business, trying to make it not an ordinary restaurant, but an extraordinary experience you want to come back to over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, we always, well, yeah, and even in our business, I mean, we always need to be looking to improve, um, and doing what we can, not only to help people with the life insurance, but like I said, I mean, now today I'm going to finish adding or completing some contracting and some training for the Medicare side, because I mean, not only will that help me financially, building up a good renewal base, but I just always felt like, once I learned something, I'm pretty confident that I can put people in a good situation, maybe even a better situation than what they're currently in. And, I've always been ethical, wanted to always, always like to do things the right way. Sometimes there's stuff out there that you run into where just, you know how it is. You walk into a house and they pull out a policy and you're just like, why did the agent write this policy on this person? Um, I don't think anybody's ever walked into a home and had to pull one of my policies out and do that. I mean, it's, everything's pretty cut and dry. But like I said, yeah, I mean, adding Medicare is expanding the business, improving the business, um, giving me more to be able to offer clients. So you mentioned too, like just some of the little things, like you sent me a text last night, ways of improving like your presentation, even like you mentioned something about having like a copy of your license with you, like a picture of your family. Tell me a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I think it's important, especially when you're brand new to the business, before you've given 100 presentations, before you have it so memorized you could drop it out of a hat, to have these kind of tools that separate you from an ordinary presentation to giving an extraordinary experience. And it's having a copy of your state license. It's super simple. You go and you print it out. Or if you're just using your iPad to present, you have it saved on your iPad and you show the person your state license and then create that level of tangible trust in showing it to them. You've literally just shown up at their house. They filled out a piece of junk mail, they clicked on an ad on Facebook, and now you're there. You need to take a moment and establish that real level of credibility by showing them your license. That's necessary. What I was always taught and what I always practice is show pictures of your family. Make you a real person, not just some salesman that's knocked their door and trying to sell them something like the last six people. It makes it real. It makes humor an opportunity. Like crack a joke. Like I think the joke I've been using lately is I got a lot of mouths to feed, so I'm going to do right by you. Otherwise, they go hungry. They laugh. And if you can create levity in the presentation, you can create a sale. Maybe you don't have a family yet. That's okay. What's important to you? Your dog, your cat, a pig, your house, something makes you a real person you can put in your presentation binder and show them and say, hey, this is me. Maybe, I don't know, a niece, a nephew, somebody. Make yourself a real person in the presentation, and it separates you from all the other yahoos out there that aren't doing that. So I think that makes a significant difference. Just like in preparation, I think it's so important to be prepared before you hit the field and then focus on just selling. Like preparation includes having your leads together, your appointments together, a plan B and C together, and then going out and selling. And if you're not prepared, no wonder you're not selling because you're also probably disorganized, anxious, nervous, afraid. Preparation breeds confidence. So, how do you go from ordinary to extraordinary? Is doing extra. Like it's in the freaking word. How cool is that?
Exactly. And yeah, bringing up family. I mean, uh, I always bring it up. There's different ways that I'll bring it up. It really just depends on the situation. Yesterday I was talking to a lady. We were talking about whole life versus term policies. we were talking about how, she was like, I don't know, 68 years old. And I mentioned, this is funded with a whole life plan. This is like your forever plan. That's what I tell people. This is the one that's always going to be there. It's not one of those term plans that will expire before you do, is kind of what I say. And she said, "Yeah, I don't want anything like that." And I said, "Yeah." And we just sometimes we just kind of get to talking. And I told her, there's a place for term policies. I told her that, I'm 42. I have a family of, wife, 4 kids. I said, if something happened to me, like they need help. They're if I didn't leave them with anything, they'd be in trouble. We have, like I said, we have a mortgage. We got young kids that got to go through school. Like I need enough cut. Yeah,
Turtle.
yeah. I got, yeah. No, we got a parakeet. We got Jelly Bean the parakeet. So, so, just all this stuff. So, so yeah. I mean, I wouldn't want, God forbid something ever happened to me. I wouldn't want my family to have to struggle because I'm no longer here. And that's where, like I told her, I said, so right now, I mean, I say I have years until my home is paid off. My kids are young. They're still going to have to go through school. There's a bigger need there. I need a large amount of coverage. But in 30 years, I'm not going to need that much coverage. So that's where the term makes sense for me because they don't need all that down the road. But right now, it makes sense. So, but then from there, we just kind of start to talk about that stuff, my wife and the kids and just kind of all the stuff they're involved in, and people love that stuff. They love to see when they're sitting down with somebody that's involved with their family. They just do. I mean, I think it maybe even shows that you are a caring person. There's many people I've dealt with in business, that people that I've sat down with, clients that that have come from other backgrounds where they haven't had that sort of family life. So they like seeing that. They love seeing when there's someone like myself that really does care about their family, and I'm willing to show them and talk about it. So,
And what you're doing there is making an extraordinary presentation because you're creating a human
mhm.
connection. People want to connect with people. People don't, everyone wants to buy, but nobody wants to be sold. Everybody wants to create a connection with somebody. And when they do, the sale is a natural result from that relationship. It's not that you've convinced somebody that their family is important to them. You can't. You
Yeah,
just can't. It's not that you've convinced somebody who's 72 years old that now is the day they're going to get insurance. You're not. You've created a human connection. You've recognized a problem. You've shown them a solution. They seem to trust and believe that you know what you're talking about and you're going to fix that problem for them. And then you do. I think we oftentimes struggle in sales when we misunderstand that we're not convincing them of something. We're simply leading them to the conclusion that they just haven't got to yet.
yeah, oh yeah, for sure. So another thing, Chris, we talked about, and I talk about it a lot. Um, a way to kind of set, well, how I always try to figure out a way for this to make sense to the person I'm sitting with, regardless if they already have insurance, regardless of if they already have enough insurance. I'm always going to figure out a way for this to also make sense to them, and that's when I pull out different tools that I have that add that value. And I wanted to maybe talk a few minutes. I could even pull up a few slides to talk about like the Everest. I mean, that's something that to me that has kind of taken me from that ordinary to more of an extraordinary level because again, it's well, not only is it helping me make sales, but it's a great benefit. It's something that's adding a ton of value to not only the insurance that they're taking out with me, but even to the policies that they already have. And the one I wrote yesterday, like I mentioned, I ended up writing her SBLI. Now SBLI, they don't have Everest, but they have the Sequoia, which is very similar to Everest. I don't really know a whole lot about the difference, but when I was talking to the lady, I could tell how important like her daughter was to her, and how I mentioned earlier uh, how I knew that this would be something that would help her daughter when the time came. I also remember that on that Sequoia plan, you can add up to 9 family members on that plan. Regardless if they have an insurance policy, that Sequoia would still step in and help the family and negotiate. And I mean, that was, I think, another thing that kind of sold it to her, that not only could she fill out and take care of her own funeral planning, but with that Sequoia plan, she could sit down with her daughter and her daughter could even put a plan together for herself. And that's going to lead to another sale. I mean, her daughter wasn't there when I was there, but uh, her daughter needs coverage too. So I'll end up going back and writing her a policy. It won't be with SBLI because she's too young, but she can still be a part of that Sequoia deal that's going to help and benefit her family. So uh, but yeah, I'm going to add on real quick just a couple slides I put together to talk that just kind of breaks down the Everest plan. Um, the Everest plan now is available with not only the American Amicable Platinum product, Chris, that we've been using for quite some time now, but it also is available on the brand new product that we talked about last week when you did such a great interview with the national sales director or national sales manager with Transamerica,
Yeah.
the new FE Express product. Same thing, has the Everest incorporated in with it. So usually when I did my presentations talking about the Everest, I was always just talking about the American Amicable, but now the Everest is also in on the Transamerica deal, and that's one too where maybe you lead with American Amicable, but maybe there's just a few health issues that that it's probably going to go to like a graded or like a return of premium. There's a possibility that that new Transamerica FE Express product might still be able to get that person first day coverage, and the person wouldn't have to lose the luxury of having that Everest incorporated in with it. So uh, yeah, so
Hmm.
that's like I said, it's just a nice benefit. It kind of separates what we're doing, and that's one thing. I'll move to the slides real quick, but that's another thing, Chris. I mean, that's I've been selling value products for 21 years. Uh, I mean, when I first got going with Final Expense, I was with Lincoln Heritage. They had the FCGS, the Funeral Consumer Guardian Society. That's what it is. It was an overpriced product, but it had that value. And I had not like on average like 85, 90% persistency. So I'm selling a product that's
Hmm.
easily replaceable, but it was not easily replaceable with my clients because I sold that. Like if there were agents there that didn't go over that stuff, if they just simply talked about the insurance, well, they're setting themselves up for that business to be replaced. But even the American Amicable and the Transamerica, those products, they're higher priced. There's more value in them. But yeah, I mean, look up the rates. I mean, the rates are higher. But I'm selling that value, and the clients are all about it. They're not thinking
Yeah.
about how they got to pay a few extra dollars every month if their family is going to save $3,000 or $4,000 off their funeral bill. So, so yeah,
And I think what happens is that when you've created enough value in whatever you've sold them, that the person now feels like this problem is solved in their life. And as much as sometimes people will continue to fill out leads, in many cases that business wasn't replaced because those people no longer filled out leads. They no
yeah,
longer filled out Facebook ads. They no longer were in the market for insurance at all.
yeah,
They feel like they had what they needed and they were good. And I think when value exceeds price, when you've established enough value to lock in that client and that business stays on the books, then that's why it sticks. I mean, independent agents are so afraid that if they aren't selling the lowest premium, that the next Yahoo in the house is going to replace them. Guess what? It's highly unlikely. And it's very unlikely if you sold enough value in what you've sold that price is even all that important. Of course, there are situations where you got to beat the rate, where you have to come in with a price effective product. We get that. Sold plenty of KSKJ back in the day, plenty of old school Transamerica immediate solutions. I get it. But I also wrote enough Americo that stuck just as good. I wrote plenty of Gerber that was still on the books because that was all they could qualify for. Value is what keeps stuff on the books. True Social Security billing helps. Good agents that service their business helps. But the lowest price on earth, hey, the next snake in the door can replace it, but is value what keeps that person out of their house?
Well, and this Everest and Sequoia, like I said, even the FCGS in the past. I mean, it would give people that mindset that this isn't just another insurance policy. Like
Mm-hmm.
this is for that purpose. This is their funeral plan, and you explain it that way, and you show the people how this is very unique. Like this isn't something that's just all over the place. This is unique, and it's something that's going to make a big difference in your family's life and make their lives a lot easier when that time comes. And like I said, just adding that value. uh, the one, like I said, the one yesterday, this lady, she had 20,000 in coverage. She didn't need more coverage, honestly. I wrote her another 12,000 because she saw the value in the funeral planning that, like she said, one of her relatives in the past, they had pre-planned their funeral. It just made things a lot easier. So she remembered that, and she knew that, heck, if I move forward with this, it's going to make my family's life a lot easier when I pass away.
Well
So,
said.
uh, so yeah, let's real quick. Why do agents sell based on lowest price available? Well, it's a competitive market. They have that fear of getting their business replaced. And we deal with a target market that is middle to low income. We're dealing with people living on Social Security. They don't have a whole lot of money. So maybe that's where, uh, when they're selling on the lowest price, they're just trying to find the most amount of coverage at the cheapest price. And that's fine. But when the next new product comes out where the rate is just a little bit cheaper, well, then
Mm-hmm.
that's all you sold that person on was a cheap rate. And that's, you know, why don't that's again here, why do I sell based on value? It separates me from the competition. What it makes what I am selling unique, and different than anything else out there. Uh, and Yeah, this just talks about the Avarice. They're a independent consumer advocate group. Uh, Everest is available to more than 25 million individuals across the United States and Canada. Everest 24/7 advisors provide peace of mind and confidence when making difficult funeral related decisions. Plus, Everest advisors who are licensed funeral home directors will work with American Amicable, also Transamerica, to help expedite the payout of the life insurance. So this is like a picture of like a video that I don't know. I can never figure out how to get videos to work on here, but it's like a little commercial that just kind of talks about Everest. This guy, he basically, and yeah, in the commercial, he's dead. Basically, he's like, "Hi, I'm John. I'm dead." And he's like, but that's okay because I had Everest. And where other people have to walk into funeral homes in that morbid time and walk in and pick out caskets, dealing with people like used car salesmen trying to sell them stuff when they're grieving. My family didn't have to worry about that because I had Everest. That's
John
basically
was a
what
little,
the guys.
John's young though. Like I see that video and it's on YouTube. You guys can look it
Yeah.
up. It reminds me of like 6 Feet Under, which is a great TV show. Has nothing to do with Applebee's, but it's worth a watch if you're ever homesick, not sure what to do. But like John's young. Like John, why are you dead? But bro, I appreciate you planning purchasing policy probably from Adam, getting Everest and the value that it provides, but pretty young to be dead.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. I don't mind the fact that they used a young guy in the commercial because it shows people that you don't have to be old to die. Things happen, people, car accidents, anything. I mean, and it just shows that this is important for everybody to have, not just someone who's 65 years old, or older. I mean, this is something that even young people need.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's, it doesn't bother me if they use a young person, but at least, yeah, he just talks about at least he had put everything together, and within 48 hours, the family received that money. And that's what, it talks about here how, they have the 24/7 assistance where, I mean, person passes away in the middle of the night, they can call into Everest and the Everest will kind of start putting things into action. The way I explain this to the client is that you put your whole funeral plan together ahead of time, that when the time comes, All your family has to do is make that one phone call, and the next thing they have to do is show up at the funeral because Everest took care of the rest for them. So where other families have to walk into the funeral homes and make those tough decisions, and it's tough, and many times they end up spending a lot more than what they need to. Not that funeral homes are overcharging, but I feel like they add stuff. It's kind of like when you buy a car and, would you like to add this package to it? Would you like to add that? That's what at the funeral home they're doing when people are grieving. I had a client once tell me that they had a family member that passed away, and the funeral home asked if they wanted a picture of the Last Supper in the casket. And they said, oh, sure. Charge them like $800 for like this picture.
Yeah.
Like little things like that that just aren't necessary. That
Yeah.
that maybe it was really nice. Maybe it was worth $800. Maybe it was like some sort of painting or something. I don't know.
There's
But
a lot of
it,
add-ons. Like
yeah.
it just if you don't when the emotion is high, there's a lot of add-ons to it. You'll be at our wedding, not our wedding, but me and my fiance's wedding in about um 5 weekends. We have a live painter. It sounds like an awesome thing, but it's an expensive add-on. And I could imagine having a painting of the Last Supper put in a coffin could be expensive, but having a plan in place that says this is what you want, this is how you want it done, and here's how it's going to get paid allows some of that money to go back to the family instead of the funeral home. I mean, the funeral home is a business too, and they have money to make, and they know they're only going to have so many funerals a year on average. So having a plan allows the family to keep some of the money too. But I like the way that you put it. Everest allows you just to have to show up at the funeral. You've done all the work ahead of time. And it's those little catchphrases and power questions that helps people add these value added propositions to the product.
Well, yeah. Like I say, I always ask the person, who's going to handle their funeral and if they've ever had to plan a funeral and what they think that day is going to look like. So, and then right away, it's like they start thinking about it, and then this makes total sense to them. I explain how again, all the online planning tools, they can put it all together. I mentioned to them how Everest not only will call the funeral home that the family wants to use, but they'll reach out to other funeral homes to get comparable pricing. And that's what they use to negotiate those prices. So it's adding value to your policy because you're saving your family's going to be saving money too. That's just that much more money that's going to go back to your family to help them take care of other things. Even mention how there's a free will. They'll help the person put a will together. Even other important legal documents. Most clients I sit down with, they don't have a will. They don't have the money to go to a lawyer to pay for putting a will together. Everest will do it for free. It's part of the program. They'll help them put a will together. Heck, if they want to go down to the bank and get it notarized, they could do that. Um, Even if they ever needed like power of attorney papers, other things like that drawn up, that's also part of it. So I'm telling you, boy, people that are not marketing this sort of thing as part of their their way of selling insurance, their way of selling final expense, they're really missing out because
Mhm.
like I said, I mean, I bet every week there's at least one sale I make that I would have not had made had I not had something like this in my back pocket.
And you know what? It's separating ordinary to extraordinary. That's another example of it right here. It's understanding that yeah, sometimes you can sell on price. Sometimes you can come in and beat the rate and just get it done the old school way. But sometimes you actually have to be a salesperson, ethically speaking, and utilize these value added propositions to make additional opportunities. The very first time we ever had access to a product with Sequoia, Adam, I made sales, improved people's situations simply based off of that. Like they got $2,500 face amount policies, $30 a month add on opportunities, but they saw the value in the Sequoia or the Everest, not necessarily anything else.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said, I mean, just like I said, that one yesterday, prime example. I mean, would not have written the business. They saw the value in that, and she knew that it would make things easier. And these are just simple steps. I mean, when the person, I always tell my clients too, when you receive this stuff with your policy, do something with it. Like you're not going to get anything out of it if it just sits in the folder. So do something with it. Get on the phone, call these people, get everything set up. They'll walk you through the process. They'll help you set it up. But it's not going to do much for your family if you don't do your part ahead of time. So get on the phone, and they like again, the steps here really easy. They call into Everest, they discuss what they'd like done. Everest puts a plan together. They review the prices with them of what they feel it will cost. they make all those final arrangements. When the time comes, the family, they just make that one phone call and it's all put in place for them. So it's simple, it's easy, but it's just something that really does add a lot of value. So, and I know, Chris, there's, I know we talked about, and I'm sure that we could probably even have on, like, I know the guy who like does a lot, or maybe is the owner of Sequoia or whatever. We could probably even have him on a podcast sometime. I know I've messaged him a few times, but now Everest, like I said, I know Everest is American Amicable. Transamerica has the product with it. Uh, and then Sequoia is what? SBLI isn't GTL. Didn't you mention GTL is also one that is that Sequoia?
Yeah, yep. So you can get updated GTL brochures, or if you're doing it over the phone, the digital ones that have all the Sequoia information in there. And what an amazing value added proposition to a graded product. Like you get stuck thinking, well, how am I going to explain to them a 2-year wait? Well, you're explaining it to it wrong that way. But now you can explain everything that it comes with, and that won't even be an issue. So Sequoia is on GTL, it's on SBLI. Everest is on Transamerica Express. It's on American Amicable Platinum. If you don't have access to these type of products, reach out to us. Like, we're on every method of social media there is. If you're having issues making value-based sales, reach out to us. If you think you only needed one product to write your business, but now you're seeing you can do the same thing with multiple products, reach out to us. I mean, there are so many things that we can add as a value added proposition to you. We're happy to help. If you need structure to your business, I was talking to an agent this week and he said he appreciates the morning call because it provides structure. I mean, structure is what helps people get out of bed, get on the phone, or get into the field. If you need help in your business because you don't have leads and you can't afford leads, but you're willing to work, we have a free lead program. If you're willing to pay for your leads and you're used to purchasing your leads, but you have a BS level low contract, we've got great contract levels. Like, there's value added propositions in what we sell, but there's also a ton of value added propositions in what we offer as an agency. I figured that was appropriate to mention toward the end.
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, I've always said, that I think one thing a lot of people out there, the biggest thing that they need is just some help and support from people that know the business. And I think we've proven through our track records, both of us, that we know what the heck we're doing when it comes to selling, when it comes to all of this stuff, all the content that we share with everybody, all the different experiences that we've been through in the business. And I think everything that we do is just things that can really help agents and those that are working with us, that are part of that are on that call every day. It does make a difference. I mean, even the morning call. I mean, yeah, it's made a bit of a difference even with me. Kind of keeps me on track. And that we also have our group me. That's another thing. I mean, heck, if my phone's going off all day and I see all these other people making sales and I haven't, like, that ticks me up. I'm happy for them, but it ticks me off too. Because
Yeah.
I mean, I want to be the best. I want to be the best at everything I'm doing, whether that's personal producing or building an agency. And I think we're on the right track here to build one of the biggest and best agencies that is out there, because we do the right things and we're there to look out for our people, and we want to see everybody have that long-term success. We don't want people to just get in the business, do well for a couple months, and then they're struggling and trying to figure things out. I mean, we're there, from beginning to end. We're not going anywhere. We're here to see too that people have that long-term success.
I'm going to wrap up with a comment that one of your agents said to me this week that I think would be the perfect value added wrap up to what I have to say today. The agent said, I have to say, since joining here, my life distribution sales has grown in a short time, always writing life, but more of an afterthought from the annuity or the long-term care perspective. Completely different mindset. Some days we all ride the struggle bus. I agree. My one day in the field this week was not much fun, but it gets easier to get back into gear and to move forward with the things that we kind of offer here. Thank you for the help that you and Adam have given me. So that's just genuine comments from people that work with us, that plug in, that literally dial in, that put their card on file, that buy the leads, that work the leads, that just really embrace what we have to offer.
Sounds good. So yeah, I hope y'all have a great weekend, and check out the morning call. Those of you that are on watching right now, uh, check out the morning call. If you need that information, reach out to us, put a comment, and I either on the YouTube or even when this is out there on the podcast in the audio format, put some comments out there. We can shoot you over the information even to get you on those calls. And I think you'll see it makes a difference when you are involved. We're not micromanaging this thing or anything like that. I think it's just a matter of, kind of putting people together and showing people what it takes to succeed, and everybody kind of holding each other accountable to see to it that we all hit our goals and we all have a lot of success together. So thanks again. Like I said, I hope y'all have a great weekend. We'll see you on Monday.
Take care.
And this concludes another episode of the Insurance, Life, and Everything in Between podcast. If you like what you heard, don't forget to subscribe, share with a friend or colleague. And if you have any comments or suggestions for future episodes, please leave those too. Any input is greatly appreciated. Thank you.